Hi, everybody. So we're now approaching the new moon in Gemini on the 27th of May at 2 minutes past 4 a.m. London time, and I'll put a link so you can see that in your time zone below. So, what happens at new moon? Of course, we have the sun and the moon conjunct in the same sign, and this month that's going to be Gemini. So, the sun's already in Gemini, and Gemini, I try to be nice about Gemini, but it's a time when we need to be on alert regarding trickery because it's ruled by Hermes. And Hermes is not just, the god of commerce, but he's a trickster archetype. So when he's expressed in the lower aspect, he's out to make a quick buck and he doesn't care who he hurts in the process. So this is a time when scammers are really more prevalent than at any other time in the year. And I know I've already, experienced that in the last week. I had two offers for podcast interviews that sounded too good to be true, and they were. So it's a time to scrutinize. If you notice a flag, don't dismiss it. It's a time to be vigilant, on alert, scrutinize the terms of any agreements rather than just agreeing because, you don't want to make a fuss or you want to believe that it really is the wonderful opportunity that you're being promised. So we need to be mindful if somebody is charismatic or charming or offers us something that's exactly what we want to hear, exactly what we want to receive, then chances are we may be manipulated into doing the bidding of another. And for myself, I nearly lost access to my Facebook platform as a result. But fortunately, I noticed the flags and acted upon it. So the symbol of Gemini is the twins. And this is like, the angel and the devil on the shoulders. And so it is a time for us to integrate opposites. So what do I mean by that? Well, um, when we're younger, when we're immature, particularly in our psyche, which means soul, not mind, the aspects of our soul are not consciously understood and integrated into a cohesive working whole. So what that looks like is we tend to swing, like the 70s balls, yeah, and we swing from one polarity to the other. So in relationships, that can be people that run hot, then run cold. So when they're in your presence, they're very attentive and you get excited that, oh wow, we're really in co-resonance here. But then they swing to the other polarity and um, you know, it's like you don't even exist. And this represents somebody who is rationally dominant. So they're, in a sense, a victim to their own inner conflict, to their own inner confusion. So being torn between desire and fear. Whereas when we raise the energy from the solar plexus into the heart, we're centered. So we know our feelings, we know our own heart, and we can make decisions from a centered place. So, yeah, this is the work of the inner alchemist, and that's the highest expression of Hermes. Okay, one who does the great work, if you will, of being able to see their own shadow and take responsibility for it so that it's not unconsciously running them, i.e., self-sabotage. So, how do we do this? Well, this is essentially Tantra. We have this idea in the West that Tantra is, you know, every possible sexual position in the Kama Sutra, when in fact Tantra is about facing what it is that scares us most. And that's the taboos. The word taboo comes from the Polynesian word tapua, which represents sacred power. So by facing our fears, we take back our power. So the people that evoke our fears, they're a blessing, they're a gift on our path because they're making us aware of what is unintegrated in our psyche. When we're immature in the mind, and Gemini is the youngest of the three air signs, we scapegoat the person that catalyzes our shadow, that brings it up for us. We think of all the reasons why we should reject them, or judge them, rather than stop deflecting the reflection and turn the mirror around so that we can see ourselves in a balanced light. So this is a time for heightened manifestation, but it means that we need to be aware of how we manifest, which is the three stages of thought, word, and action or deed. So when those are aligned, we all of our energy is moving towards the one point. We're one directional. Whereas when we're pining for something, we're wanting something, but we're also negating it, not believing that it's possible or not acting in accordance with that intention. We're fighting amongst ourselves, and we're like the chariot card in the tarot. We're being pulled one way, then pulled the other, so we can't move forwards. So the lesson of Gemini is to become our own teacher, okay? When the mind is young, we're often seeking, the eternal seeker, a bit like Sagittarius, I guess. And we're always looking for somebody who knows more. But that can lead us to sort of be victim to clickbait, yeah, wanting to just accumulate facts or look for somebody who asserts that they know everything, that they know more than we do. A really good teacher will affirm and encourage you to listen to your own intuition, your own inner guidance. And anyone that imposes on you that they are the great knowing one, like Oz, okay, in The Wizard of Oz. This might be a psychic, yeah, somebody who you might have put on a pedestal and you're doing whatever it is they tell you to do for fear of getting it wrong, for making a mistake, rather than following the impulse of your own heart, which is where the divine speaks to us. Or it might be that you've given your power away to a charismatic church leader or cult leader, or somebody who um, is a teacher or an author. And at the end of the day, when we do that, when we put someone up on a pedestal, we set ourselves up to then eventually vilify them, to drag them off the pedestal, to be so overwhelmed by the shadow that we see in them that we condemn them for being human because we've placed an expectation on them that they need to be perfect. And of course, anyone who's in a physical form, we're constantly humbled by our own shadow, yeah, because we are perfectly imperfect. So Gemini helps us to see that and to bow to the shadow as teacher. Now, because it's the youngest of the three air signs, we can get caught in intellectualizing our feelings rather than being present with our feelings and understanding that our feelings are our guidance system. If somebody's presence elevates us, if it expands our light, it lights us up, then this is a sign that this person is going to help us move forwards on our path to come home, to fulfill our divine blueprint, our highest destiny and potential. Whereas if we're around someone who says things that are flippant or fickle in their behavior, which leaves us not feeling good, this diminishes our light, it contracts us. And so we need to pay attention to our feelings rather than excuse things away according to our beliefs. So this is a time when the mind can be very busy, so we can be more prone to insomnia. So sleep hygiene, I don't like the term, but it basically means having a wind down or a settling technique for yourself, where, for instance, you unplug an hour before bedtime or you don't drink caffeinated drinks after midday, but making sure that you caretake your mental health. For instance, not watching thrillers or disturbing images in what it is that you're taking in. In fact, this is a great time for a digital detox or a mental detox, to be mindful of what it is that you're taking in, because when we have a lot of unprocessed trauma, to take more trauma in through what we're vicariously watching as voyeurs just adds to the accumulation of unprocessed things in our Pandora's box, in our subconscious. So the sun in Gemini also evokes curiosity. Okay, we want to understand. And the gift of Gemini is it helps us to pivot and adapt. So we're also able to better analyze things, what's good and bad about a situation, and to be multiplicit. In other words, to understand that we aren't just one or two or even three-dimensional, we are multi-dimensional beings. And so being multifaceted means it's an opportunity to explore and express the many facets of our diamond blueprint soul. And that is actually key to a soul-fulfilling life. So perhaps rather than just deriving your income from one particular gift or talent that you have, this is a time to explore different hobbies, different latent potentials and gifts that you haven't. This is also a wonderful time to be troubleshooting, problem solving, fixing things, reinventing yourself, rebranding what it is that you're offering. And it can also ignite enthusiasm for travel. So if there's a place that's calling your soul, chances are this is an opportunity to do a bit of soul retrieval, to reclaim fragments of your soul that have lived in different places of the world in different incarnations. But paramount is that you take care of your nervous system. So making sure that you have enough magnesium, and that might be more than what you're currently taking. We're receiving so much plasma from the solar storms. We've had 21 solar storms in the first 4 months of this year compared to just 4 last year. So there's a lot of solar activity, which is a lot of high octane light frequency for our light body to digest, to recalibrate and integrate. So you need a lot of rest, a lot of water, ideally with a bit of Celtic salt, mineral salts to help you integrate this. And time in the sunshine is great. If you want more ideas on how to integrate these light energies, you can check out my earlier videos on the ascension process, which we've now begun. So do beware of get-rich schemes, others that impose upon you. They know better than you. And be very clear in your communications, because this is a time when things can become confusing if we're not taking the time to speak from the heart and communicate from the heart, whether that's the written word or verbally. So if you're confused, if you're receiving mixed messages, do seek to clarify to avoid conflict or misunderstandings. Now, Mercury enters Gemini today on the day that I'm filming this. So this means we're likely to be perhaps a little bit quick or impatient in our communications. So the more you can slow down, take the time to really express what you mean, you'll see things flow more easily this month. And of course, today we also have Saturn, the planet of responsibility, which imposes limitations on us if we're not taking responsibility for ourselves, entering the sign of Aries. Aries is the sign of new beginnings. It evokes the archetype of the warrior. So this is a wonderful time for starting new projects, but also finishing what you've started. So if there's something which started with a lot of passion and enthusiasm, but then neglected to follow up, Saturn is really going to hold you to account. So that's all for now. Wishing you a wonderful new moon. Take care to just, get enough rest. This is the ideal time to reflect upon the month that was, on what you learnt, distilling your lessons, especially if you're in midlife, because that's the life chapter when it's all about distillation. And if you're in London, or able to commute to London tomorrow, I'd love you to join me at the London Wellbeing Mind Body Spirit Festival, where I will be speaking on the midlife stage about a mystic approach to midlife and moon pause. So that's at 12:30 UK time until 1:15. And if you've got any books of mine, I'm happy to sign those if you want to bring them with you, but would be lovely to meet you in person. So thanks for watching. You have my blessing to share this video, and blessings on your new moon.